Hi everyone, my name's Madeline. I'm a product manager at Tableau. I manage the DBT and Tableau product relationship along with a bunch of other product relationships, and I've been at Tableau for about 5 years. So previously in solution engineering, previously to product, I was in solution engineering, and I was actually in the same org as Gordon when he was at Tableau. We just didn't know each other. So, but I'm super excited to be presenting with him today about Tableau and the DBT semantic layer, and I'll let you introduce yourself.
Awesome. Hey, sound check coming through okay? Yeah, Gordon Rose with DBT. Fun fact, at least I like to think it's a fun fact, prior to DBT, I was with Tableau for 9.5 years. And there were 9.5 fantastic years with a fantastic company and fantastic technology. And I'm getting to continue that path at another company with fantastic people and fantastic technology. It couldn't be more gratifying than to have the opportunity to share with you how powerfully and beautifully Tableau and DBT can work together. I think I might need to advance the slides manually, so let me go ahead and do that. So we've done introductions, and now I just want to share a little bit about what we're going to cover today. First of all, we'll kind of say, just so we level set, what is a semantic layer? What is the DBT semantic layer? And then Madeline is going to share really what are the key benefits of using DBT and the semantic layer together. And then we'll launch into a demo, and we'll dive deep into how do you set up the integration. We'll make a connection. We'll look at using our data sources from the semantic layer in a Tableau dashboard, and we'll even dive into the data health tile to show you how powerful that can be for your Tableau users. Then Madeline will close us out with some thoughts. One thing I can guarantee you today is you will leave with a 3-star Michelin James Beard award-winning recipe for success using Tableau and the DBT semantic layer together. And hopefully we'll have a couple of minutes for Q&A, and if we do run tight, especially kind of starting just a couple of minutes late, both Madeline and myself will be available outside after the session, and we'll be around conference, certainly be hanging out at the DBT booth. Would really welcome some interaction, the opportunity to talk with you following today's session about maybe your interest in using the semantic layer and Tableau together. So what is the DBT semantic layer? And maybe we should pause and say, even before what, why a semantic layer? As you heard in the keynote this morning, every year we survey hundreds of professionals in the data industry, and we ask them, what are your top priorities? What are some of your biggest challenges? Well, interestingly enough, this year, increased trust in data and in data teams was cited as a top priority for professionals in our industry. And literally just about an hour and a half ago, I was stopped in the hall by a conference attendee, and the person came up to me and said, I am so glad you people are focusing on trust, because I'll tell you, let me tell you basically that if the stakeholders don't have trust in your data, try coming back from that. Wow, that hit me between the eyes. And that's just a random comment from an attendee here at Coalesce, really underlined, just as this survey did, how important trust in data is. Now, in terms of challenges, people are telling us that data quality and data literacy are two of the primary challenges that they're facing. So we've got aspirationally greater trust in our data, greater trust in the teams that produce that data. We've got challenges around data quality and data literacy. And then our friends from Tableau shared with us that 86% of analytics and IT leaders agree that AI is only as good as the data you feed it. And if you're looking at that, you might be thinking the way I did, where are the other 14%? How could it not be clear that AI is only going to be as good as the data that we feed it? And succeeding in the world of AI is obviously imperative. It is a significant accelerator, and if we don't have that accelerator as a part of our business, we're going to fall behind. So how do we address the issue, the aspirational goal of greater trust, address the challenges around quality. And then how do we succeed in the world of AI today? And we do that by promoting data quality and data trust, and we do that through metric consistency. And that is how we get to the concept of a semantic layer. Now we know, and Madeline and I both know from our years at Tableau, we've seen metrics defined in as many different users and tools as a company might have. Absolutely all over the place, people getting different answers to the same question from data sets that are different but should be the same. Significant organizational challenges around that. And a somewhat more subtle issue is that all the time that these business professionals are out there trying to roll their own version of the truth, those people who are desperate for data, desperate for answers, we're losing their productivity in what it is they're primarily actually supposed to be doing. And that is taking good quality data without having to create it themselves, apply their business knowledge, make decisions, and take action. And when we lose that in our business, it's extremely expensive. Again, what we are aiming for is to bring consistency to our organization's metrics. Reliable metrics from a single source of truth. And that is what the DBT semantic layer is. This is a wonderful place to preach to the choir about how important it is to work with data just fundamentally that is documented, that is tested, that is under version control, for which the lineage is clear. In other words, data that we have transformed in DBT. But if you're like many DBT users, you have hundreds to thousands of models. So that's great, we've got all this quality data, but we can't just say, here you go, to the user community and expect them to succeed. What we want to do is to provide a layer above that data where we abstract away and isolate just the key dimensions and metrics that are going to allow our business users to thrive. So DBT is the best way to produce data. The semantic layer is the best way to serve it up. And of course, what is the best tool to help you see and understand your data? Now, Madeline and I might be a little bit biased, and it's okay if you're not a Tableau user today, but I think we would definitely say Tableau is the best, in fact, the tool that invented the whole concept of self-service BI. And it's this incredibly powerful layer cake of functionality, starting with quality data, a layer on top of that that exposes it as a single layer of the truth, and then the best tool for consuming it and deriving insights from it. It's a very powerful story, and we're going to share the success recipe for how you can implement that in your own organization. So Madeline is going to talk a little bit about the benefits of using Tableau and the DBT semantic layer together.
Thank you so much, Gordon, for that excellent introduction. Yes, we'll be covering what the Tableau and DBT semantic layer integration looks like today. And if you have questions about the future, if you went to the keynote this morning, you'll know that we announced some future integrations. You can head to the DBT booth sometime tomorrow. Well, the Tableau team will be around there. So first up, if you were at the booth earlier today, you might have seen this slide floating around. I really just want to ground us in how we see the Tableau and DBT partnership working together. And really encourage your feedback on this slide. Let me know if this resonates with you or not, because we're just starting to show it to customers like you. So yeah, again, let me know if you have feedback. Tableau and DBT are quite synergistic in the way that we both kind of act as unifiers of data. I think Sai, who is a product manager, used that in the partner keynote yesterday. He mentioned we really see DBT internally as a unifier, and Tableau is similar. We don't really care what data layer you use. If you're in the middle of a migration from one data warehouse to the other, if you're in the middle of spinning up a semantics layer or not, we really want to be able to work with all of those things. So that's at the bottom of the stack. And then if we think about where we see insights and how they're surfaced in the flow of our work, again, we want to work with multiple collaboration layers. So whether that's Slack, Teams, Google Workspaces, anything like that. And Tableau and DBT together can be that layer of trust and deliver those insights securely to the business users. So all with governance and trust running through that. Again, as Gordon mentioned, those are two really key themes for this whole week, and I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing already. But this is how we think of the partnership. Now, I want to take a second to also tell you all who actually benefits from the semantic layer integration. Well, actually, it's pretty much everybody at all levels of an organization in all roles. So business users can get faster time to insights by bringing the DBT semantic layer integration together with Tableau, right? Tableau is primarily where business users live. And if we can surface up those insights powered by DBT, then we can democratize analytics to even more users. Data stewards and practitioners, probably people just like yourselves in this room right now, you can hopefully spend less time replicating all of your semantic layer information from DBT to Tableau through our new integration, and we can trust that your work is actually centralized. So hopefully you're not doing as many repetitive tasks and you're not taking as many ad hoc requests from business users. And then finally, key stakeholders can also make better decisions. So again, that trust that the data that they have is centralized and certified and fresh and has passed all the data quality checks, they will know that the information that they're looking at in Tableau is correct. I mean, how many times have you gotten a Slack or a Teams message of just one number from somebody after you ask them a question? You have no idea where that's coming from. If we can make it easier for you to see the source of that, then that's a win for us. So again, hopefully just we create a better self-service environment, increase cost savings, and have a better experience for you all. So how do we actually do this? What are the specific features that we look at? Well, with the semantic layer connector for Tableau, we can create a shared single version of the truth. So how many of you use Tableau today? How many of you are in desktop a lot? Okay, so many hands, awesome to see. So hopefully with the DBT connector, you don't need to replicate window calcs, LODs. I know I spent like half an hour or more writing them sometimes, and table calcs across multiple data sources. And our analytics experience team has been doing a ton of work to bolster up the data source, data modeling kind of experience in Tableau. So we recently released something called Shared Dimensions, which allows you to have more than one base table as your Tableau data source. This kind of paves the way to being able to combine published data sources together. And if we think about DBT, a DBT model or a DBT saved query as a published data source, then you can start to combine those models together in Tableau. So again, no need to replicate your data model logic across multiple data sources. Hopefully it's all in one place in DBT and centralized, and then Tableau can kind of surface that information up. Next up, data health tiles. You probably heard a lot about. I think this is GA as of today, right, Gordon? But yeah, Gordon's going to show you a demo of this a little bit later. But in Tableau, we have a concept of Tableau catalog or lineage. It includes data details about like when the Tableau published data source was last refreshed or how many workbooks are connected to it. But we actually don't have information past that. So for example, if you use DBT Core to run a SQL transformation and you output that to a Snowflake materialized view, when you connect to a Tableau published data source, we know that the underlying table and database is from Snowflake. We know that it's a materialized view, but we actually don't know all the components that went into that view. And DBT can help add some of that information through data health tiles. So we'll look at, from the data health tile, you can see, okay, your data might be stale, so like the underlying tables that make up that view might not have been refreshed correctly. It'll run checks in the background for you, and you'll be able to see more details in a DBT Explorer by clicking out. And again, Gordon will show that a little bit later, so I'm excited for you all to see that. From the Tableau side, it's really simple. It's just a web page embedded element, so really easy for you to add that in for all your business users to see when they go to a Tableau dashboard. Auto exposures is in preview for a DBT, and there's a session right after this, actually, that Roxy is giving on auto exposures. But Tableau will soon be an element within your auto exposure, so you'll be able to see, again, the downstream lineage. This will really help you assess when something goes wrong, like in your dashboard, like what the source of the break is. It can help you improve data quality. You can also do change management a lot easier. So if you know that you're going to change your model and you want to see how it affects your downstream workbooks or downstream Tableau content, then you can troubleshoot that very quickly. So again, this is, oh, and the mouse is in front of it, sorry. There will be a session right after this that Roxy will do on auto exposures, so you can get a sense of what that will look like. Okay, so Gordon is going to demo. I think we have around 11 minutes. And so he's going to show you what this looks like in person. So how to get started with the connector and what a data health tile looks like.
All right, thank you, Madeline. Awesome, awesome stuff. I meant to ask as we got started, how many people in the room are today a Tableau user? I would expect to see a lot of hands. Okay, that's fantastic. And then, of course, you're all DBT users. We know that. So we're going to dive into a demo and show you how all this works. But first, Madeline and I have a very special announcement for you. How many people have worked with Tableau Superstore data, know about Superstore? Yeah. And then this morning we talked about jaffles a lot, right? Because that's sort of like the DBT demo data. Well, you heard it here first, but basically Tableau Superstore is now carrying jaffles. I know that was going to be a keynote announcement, but they let us kind of make that, and we really appreciate that. I think they're at your nearest kind of virtual Tableau Superstore. I think they're in aisle 5. Today you can get the spaghetti jaffles and the baked bean jaffles and the dessert jaffles. I'm sure the line's going to expand, as it becomes more popular. But yes, the synergy between the two technologies is what we're here to talk about. Let's say just how does the integration work? Let me just share that with you briefly. Super straightforward. The Semantic Layer connector is available at the Tableau Exchange. There are just 2 files involved. You'll need the JDBC file and the Tableau connector or the Taco file. They can be downloaded directly from the Tableau Exchange, and then the instructions are there for copying them into the directory of either your Tableau server or your Tableau desktop deployment. Now that's an important point. Today we support Tableau Desktop and Tableau Server, and as was shared this morning, Tableau Pulse and Tableau Online are coming very soon. And then when we go to connect in Tableau, it's just 3 pieces of information. We need the environment ID. That's basically where we're running the semantic layer in DBT. We need the host URL to connect to the semantic layer, and we need an authorization token. This is where we dive into Tableau. So let's jump over to, and let me just kind of escape out of slide share mode here. And we are inside, as you can see here, a dashboard in Tableau where we have connected to the semantic layer. And we're going to add a connection so you have the opportunity to see basically what does it look like to interact with the semantic layer from Tableau. So as we access our connectors, naturally we expect to find it among the list, and there is the DBT semantic layer, a connector built into our installation. And again, we said there are really just 3 pieces of information that we need to connect. Where would we get that? We would get that naturally from DBT. So let's just scroll over here, and I just kind of need to move the zoom little header that I see on my screen out of the way, and give me just 1 second there. And we'll just flip over here to DBT. And actually, all of the information that we need is available in the project properties. So here we have the environment ID, a handy button to copy that. Again, we're in the project properties for DBT, and we're just flipping back to Tableau, and we're putting that into the configuration. We're grabbing the host URL. Again, handy button to copy that. Copy, paste. And then we need an authentication token. Well, how do we create an authentication token in DBT if we don't already have one, maybe? Well, we just scroll down, and on this same screen is where we can generate a service token for the semantic layer. And again, it's going to be scoped to the correct permissions. It's going to be scoped to the correct project. We merely need to assign a set of credentials to it and a name such as demo Coalesce. And we'll ignore my typing, and we are good to go. There's our authentication token. So we grab that value, and we paste it in as the final value, and now we're off to the races. We're connecting to the DBT semantic layer from Tableau. Now, when we connect, I want to point out 3 things that you see here, or actually 4 in this case. You're going to see table names immediately upon connecting. Now, if you connect to, say, a typical database like a Snowflake or a Databricks or a Redshift, you'll select a database, you'll select a schema, and then there will be tables that are available to you. But when you connect to the semantic layer, you're connecting effectively to virtual tables right off the bat. So there's no database or schema per se. We immediately have available to us a set of tables that represent things that we have defined over on the DBT side in the way of the semantic layer. At the very top there, you're going to see a table called all. That's a special table when you connect to to the semantic layer from Tableau. That represents everything in the semantic layer. It's the whole boat. It's all of the semantic models. It's all of the dimensions and the metrics and the time grains. And while that's great, it is at the same time everything, and it's not necessarily the friendliest thing to put in front of a user. And in addition to that, not everything across all the semantic models will automatically interrelate. So it's possible to drag one thing onto the canvas and then another where they don't necessarily interrelate, and that may also not be the best user experience. So a better option is something called saved queries, and this is where we're going to go back into DBT, and I want to show you basically how the semantic layer, and we have it set up, in this particular case, relates to what we are seeing here in terms of these tables that have been presented after connecting. So let's jump right back into DBT. And this is a trick question. If you want to learn about something in your DBT environment or universe, where do you go? Who's going to raise a hand? And by the way, I have these little giveaways. You can grab some swag if somebody gives the right answer.
I would say DBT Docs. That's where I would.
Close enough. DBT Explorer, right? DBT Explorer is the place we go in DBT to find out anything about what's going on in our DBT universe. So let's jump into Explorer. And what do you know? We immediately see here that we have 4 semantic models defined, and collectively they expose 14 metrics. We'll drill down, we'll learn a little bit more, but notice how we can instantly learn through the observability and the insights that Explorer offers us. So we're going to jump into semantic models. We see that there are 4 models again. This one, for instance, having to do with order item. We click through, and isn't this powerful? We're seeing the actual semantic model, we're seeing the metrics that it exposes, and we're even seeing the DBT model that it's built on. And we could explore, of course, deeper and continue to drill into our data and learn more about the semantic layer as well as the data that's powering it. So that all table that we saw at the top of the list in Tableau basically represents everything that those 4 semantic models have defined in the way of metrics and dimensions. And again, that's not necessarily the most friendly way of presenting the semantic layer to a Tableau user. So let's go back now as a next step and explore this concept of saved queries and how that is a best practice for you as a Tableau/DBT practitioner. As you may or may not know, when you define a semantic layer in Tableau, you do it declaratively. It's super simple. And as you know, on top of that, we now have an AI assistant that will do a lot of the grunt work for you anyway. So semantic layers are super straightforward to set up in DBT. And once you have it set up, you have the ability to create what we call saved queries. Saved queries are basically like a bite-sized chunk of the semantic layer that's going to be specific to a particular subject or domain. It's a way of taking that whole universe that the semantic layer exposes to user and says, I'm going to help you focus on this, or I'm going to help you focus on this or this. And if you recall, over here in Tableau, below that all table, we saw new customer orders, order metrics, and weekly revenue. 3 additional logical tables that allow us to interact with the semantic layer through Tableau. Well, those map back directly to our definition for the semantic layer. Looking at the order items semantic model, we see a saved query section. Then we see one called order metrics, and at the bottom, we see one called weekly revenue. Now we understand where we got those virtual tables in the Tableau interface. They map to saved queries in the semantic layer, and those saved queries are a super friendly way of presenting a subset of the semantic layer to our users to interact with. So we're going to really hammer on that as a best practice for you to use when you deploy the semantic layer for your Tableau users. Well, let's jump back over to Tableau, and let's explore just a little bit more here, what's going on here with this dashboard.
And while you're pulling that up, I think we have 1 minute left, so if you just want to show data health tiles really quick after this, and then we can wrap up with our top 10. I'll leave that on screen while we answer questions.
Yeah, we're gonna run a little tight with the late start. So really quickly here, what we have going on, this upper worksheet is a semantic layer dashboard. A really powerful Tableau practice, have aggregate data, and then let the user drill into row level data. Below it, we have data fed by a DBT model. And because in Tableau we can, of course, query across data sources, We can drive those other worksheets via the semantic layer representing that single layer of truth. But Madeline had a really great suggestion. Wouldn't it be nice if users could explore a little bit more? And I'm just going to alt-click here and maybe access the health tile. What we have done on this dashboard is we have taken that data health tile from DBT and we put it behind a simple show hide button. Remember those conversations where somebody says, where did that number come from? How was it calculated? Here's the answer. I'm going to quickly take us not just and focus on the fact that all the data quality tests passed here. The data is relatively fresh. Let's just jump in here and see what happens if we click on see more details. Wow, where are we? We're in Explorer. How did we get there? We got there from our Tableau dashboard. Now our users have access to all that rich metadata and observability that we as data practitioners use as DBT practitioners. Notice there's our dashboard. There's customers. There's orders. Let's drill down. Oh, interesting. There's the semantic model built on orders. There's the staging model. Let's click on that. Maybe we want to go down and even explore column level lineage here, which of course we can do. Maybe we want to understand how the taxes paid column gets calculated. We see it undergoes a transformation here. Could we actually discover what the raw code is? Of course, we're in DBT. We're in DBT Explorer. So now we see the tax paid came over from the source, gets divided by 100. That's how it's transformed. That's why we see the number we do on that Tableau dashboard. This true end-to-end interaction between the raw work done in DBT, the semantic layer, Tableau on top, back to Explorer to be able to see things with razor focus, and then just to kind of emphasize some, again, that key recipe for success, a top 10 of things for you to know. Madeline's going to take us home. Thank you.
Sure. I think we're a little bit over, so I'm just going to leave this up on the screen and let me represent it as we go in here. Okay, great. If you take away just a couple things from this list, I'll be happy. But yeah, this is really like some of the top 10 things that you should probably know if you're working with Tableau and DBT. So one of the things I want to point out is we let DBT handle all of the aggregation, so we push that down. If you're familiar with Tableau, you know you can change the aggregation within it. So it might look a little different, but that's one key tip to know. And the other one that I want you to remember is to use saved queries. Again, we spent a lot of time on that today. But yeah, so if you have any more questions, I want to wrap up on time. You can find the listing on the Tableau Exchange. There's our DBT docs as well that they manage on the connector. And actually, my team will be in the DBT Activation Zone booth area tomorrow at Wednesday at 11:15 a.m. and 3:15 p.m. So if you have any extra questions that I'm not able to answer today, or that if you have to get to your next session, then you can find us tomorrow. But just want to say thank you all so much for coming to our session. It was so fun to have you, and thank you so much, Gordon, for demoing. It was a live demo, so that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.